Hello, dear viewer. Here comes the second chapter of this mind-blowing story. I'm sure you've already subscribed and pressed the bell, so you don't miss new chapters and new stories. Enjoy the story and have fun watching it. Dig 2 Graves. Chapter 2. Sunday, 5:16 p.m. Between you and me, Mr. Vickers, I don't believe a quarter of what they say, Nurse Bishop admits. Understood, ma'am, I reply with a smile as she leads me out into the hallway. Are you sure I can't just walk out of here, ma'am? I'm certainly not comfortable making you go to all this trouble when I'm about twice your size. Don't worry about it, Mr. Vickers. I've been doing guys your size all my life, and I think I'll be doing them for a long time to come. I don't doubt that, ma'am, I nod sincerely, and I'd appreciate it if you'd call me Jake. You seem like too nice a person to be caught up in what they're saying, she continues. I smile, realizing she's just diverting the conversation to dig up some more juicy information. I really don't disagree. Even those of us who don't work in hospitals know how infamous their vines are. From what the doctor has told me, I'm sure I've been the topic of discussion on the ward for days. I say nothing more and smile inwardly, knowing that this matronly nurse is about to burst with anger. All this weekend she's been nothing but my own mother, taking care of me while I recovered. For a moment, I remembered my conversation yesterday morning with the doctor who saw me on Friday night. Some details escape me, as I am still in a state of severe drowsiness after the anesthesia. But a few important points come to mind. Your left testicle will make a full recovery. It's only a little swollen, and should be back to normal in a day or two. The right testicle is a different story. The ruptured artery has deprived it of direct blood supply. It's a good thing you got here quickly after the injury, or you would have lost it for sure. Even now, I only give you a 50-50 chance of partial recovery of function. What do you mean by partial? If blood flow in the testicle continues to improve, it will probably resume about half of its fluid and hormone production. My biggest concern is that if blood flow doesn't improve, the gland will atrophy. In that case, I would strongly recommend that it be removed. I swallowed. But you think the situation will improve? I believe there is a chance. I like to be optimistic with my patients, but I don't want to give you false hope. I would advise against doing anything strenuous for the next few weeks, and especially refrain from lovemaking. You need to rest and take it easy until I can authorize you to be more active. I nod. How did you get injured, Mr. Vickers? He asks. I stare at his face, trying to figure out if this is really a medical issue or a hunt for gossip. I decide the former, but see no reason to fully disclose what happened. I'm not 100% sure, Doc. I think I blacked out and don't remember much. What do you remember? He presses. After a little thought, I say, I think I got wrapped up in an unusual position with my wife, and something went wrong. He makes a few marks on his chart, looks up, and fixes his gaze on my vision, his pen resting over the chart. Would you like to tell me what really happened? With my best lawyer face, I reply, I think I did. He continues to stare at me for a few more moments, and then makes a few more entries on his card. I take the opportunity to turn the tables. How did I end up here, Doc? You don't know? He replies in surprise. I shake my head. The first thing I remember is waking up here this morning, I say honestly. From what is recorded in your chart, and from what the ambulance staff told me, I believe your wife dropped you off at the entrance to the ambulance in a comatose state. Do you believe it? I ask. Yes, a man and a woman carried you into the emergency room. You were only wearing boxer shorts and a robe. They stayed there long enough to tell that you had suffered a groin injury. They left, and the woman returned a few minutes later with a gym bag containing your clothes. She threw the bag next to you and threw your wallet on top, saying that somewhere in the wallet was an insurance card. She then disappeared behind the door again. The emergency room staff immediately began to provide assistance. What makes you think it was my wife? Only because one of the orderlies ran outside to try to catch the woman and ask her more questions about your condition. He overheard an argument between the woman and the man she was with, and the woman referred to you as her husband. I sigh and lay back down in bed. I didn't get a call? You'll have to check with the nurses. He stares at me for a minute, his trembling pen still over my chart. You were brought in with fluid on your face, he adds, still holding the pen in his hand and waiting. I look at him questioningly. I told you it was a very unusual pose. He stares back for a while, raising one eyebrow. So then, he finally says, I think that's enough for today. You do realize that you're going to have a lot of swelling, especially on the right side? I expect the swelling to last at least another week, and that's if the blood supply improves, as I hope it will. Swelling of this type and duration is normal for this type of injury. We have prescribed you some mild pain medication, but I'm afraid you will be in discomfort when the anesthetic wears off completely. Worse, urinating will cause you even more discomfort. It is very important that you stay on as low a dose of anesthetic medication as possible. I have given you a fairly strong dose of codeine, but I want to switch you to regular aspirin. Aspirin will not be as effective in relieving pain, but it will help thin the blood and therefore improve blood flow. But feel free to let me know if the pain becomes unbearable. For now, you'll feel better if you don't move. He places a hand on my shoulder. I look at him carefully. Let me know if more is more than you can bear, he repeats with emphasis. As Nurse Bishop drives me to the exit, I think, he wasn't kidding. My thoughts return to other things that had happened the day before. They put me on an IV, and I got to the point where I just had to go to the bathroom, or I might pee my pants. Funny thing is, up until that point, I was afraid to look at my little friend. They were telling me they were going to be fine, at least the left side, and they had high hopes for the right side. For the moment, I was quite happy with that. But the doctor's warning about urination alarmed me, and I tried to hold it off as long as possible. Finally, I couldn't stand it any longer, and started trying to get out of bed. A flash of pain quickly told me that I needed help. I pressed the call button, and Nurse Bishop was on the scene. I told her that I needed to urinate and that I needed help. She laughed and told me that I didn't need help and to urinate. I raised both eyebrows questioningly, and she pulled back the sheet covering me. There was a tube sticking out of the hospital gown, leading to a bag attached to the side of the bed. I smiled and nodded in understanding. I was a little embarrassed that she was standing like that, so I reached down, pulled back the sheet, and relaxed my bladder. I almost passed out again. I had never felt such pain. Well, maybe Friday night, but it felt just as awful. The only thing that made me happy was that as soon as the flow started, the pain started to subside. I closed my eyes against the pain and the relief of my bladder. A sudden chill touched my forehead, and I opened my eyes to see Bishop applying a wrung-out wet washcloth. She told me it wouldn't be so bad next time, and thank God she was right. It's a pleasure to hear you say that, ma'am, I admit. You've been a blessing all this weekend, and I can't thank you enough. You needed a little help, but not too much. I don't believe guardianship is helpful. Me too, sir, she says, rolling me into the reception area. I carefully get out of my chair, sign a few forms, and turn around to thank her one last time. No, young man, she says firmly, patting the wheeled chair. You know as well as I do that you should be wheeled all the way to the door. Are you trying to get me fired? I laugh. No, ma'am, I was just trying not to sit. She laughs and holds up the chair as I sit back down, even more cautiously than I stood up. She nudges me the last few feet, and suddenly, a man in a suit appears right in front of us, causing Nurse Bishop to stop abruptly. Jacob Vickers? He asked. I don't recognize him, but he seems familiar. Who wants to know? I reply. Are you Jacob Vickers? He repeated. Maybe I will, I answer uncertainly. He laughs. We both know you're Vickers, he says, and places an envelope in my lap. You've already been served, he adds, and quickly turns and disappears. I flinch more from the anticipation of pain than reality. What a nerve. I hear my nurse trumpeting behind me. I stare at the package, all too familiar with such parcels. My hands start to shake as I take the envelope. I stop, grab the chair for a moment, and try a second time. This time, my hands are a little stronger, and I open the seal on the package. The thinness of the package calms me down a little, and I take a stack of papers out of the envelope. Whatever it is, Jake, Nurse Bishop says behind me, using my nickname for the first time. I hope it's not as bad as it looks. It's TRO. I breathe a sigh of relief. That's not good news, but not as bad as I thought, I think to myself. What is TRO, Jake? Asks Bishop. Temporary restraining order, I reply calmly. I'm not allowed within 300 yards of my house or my wife's office building. Oh shit, son, she says. But it could be worse, couldn't it? Yes, it's possible, ma'am. Does that mean your wife won't pick you up? I wasn't expecting her. I couldn't get in touch with her at all this weekend. I'm sorry to hear that, Jake. So who's picking you up? She asked, rolling me out the door. She locks the chair, and I repeat my cautious escape. I didn't call for anyone else, ma'am. Jake, you can't go home alone, she says, stopping when she realizes the implications of her words. I laugh to reassure her. That's right, ma'am. I'll be fine, don't worry. Someone told me I don't need custody. I'll take a cab downtown and get a hotel room until I get some things sorted out. She smiles, and a tear appears in the corner of her eye. I wipe it away and thank her again for her concern. In the wrinkled suit I'd worn Friday night and stuffed into my gym bag, I step carefully onto the sidewalk and hail a cab. Sunday, 6:18 p.m. What do you mean, denied? I ask incredulously. I'm sorry, sir, but this card is not accepted. I stare at the hotel clerk. It's useless to yell at him. Calming down, I take out my American Express card and hand him my visa. Try this one, I encourage him. He smiles grimly and accepts the card. I look in my wallet. After paying the $25 cab fare from the hospital to downtown and the tip, I have barely $50 cash left. I'm sorry, sir, but that one's rejected too. I'm not surprised. In fact, I expected this result when I gave him the second card. I thank him for his efforts and walk away from the table. I can feel the clerk's eyes stare back at me as I walk away. I feel unclean, like I have financial leprosy. I reach the corner of the courtyard by Marriott Hotel. Luckily, I have plenty of minutes on my cell phone, I think with a chuckle. I dial the customer service number listed on the back of my American Express card. After going through about a half-dozen options to answer the call, I finally connect to a real person. The customer service representative confirms my concerns. Our joint card was cancelled yesterday. I ask what I need to do to open a new account in my name only. One of the things I like about American Express is the impeccable service. Using my home address, within minutes I had a brand new account, but I won't be able to use it until tomorrow. As luck would have it, the American Express main office in Dallas is located a few floors up in the same building where I work. I request that the card be expedited to their Dallas office where I can pick it up tomorrow. One mystery solved, but the problem remains. I have no accommodation for the evening. Seeing an ATM of one of the banks across the street, I think, sometimes there is no substitute for cash. Though a little slower than usual, I finally make my way to the ATM across the street. Walking half a block to the stoplight and back, I insert my card halfway in, expecting it to eat it. To my pleasant surprise, the ATM accepts my PIN, and I'm about to press the button to withdraw the money when suddenly a nagging feeling tells me I should check my balance first. Sighing, I look at the total amount of our bank account, just over $3. 2 mysteries solved, and 2 problems now exist. I have no money, and I still can't find a place to stay for the evening. I shudder at the cold winter wind blowing through my jacket. It pains me to do this, but there are times when you have to depend on your family. I pull my cell phone out of my pocket and dial my parents' number. "Hi, Mom," I say when I hear her voice. There is a brief silence, then I hear the phone being hung up. In the background, I hear Mom yell to Dad that your son is on the line. "Jake?" I finally hear a husky voice say. I sighed in relief. At least my father's gravelly voice sounded the same. "Hi, Dad," I reply. "I guess you're a damaged guy out there in the world. What the hell's gotten into you?" "I take it Susie called you?" I ask. "Yesterday morning. We couldn't believe it. I still can't believe it, but she says you're definitely dead." "Dad, don't believe it. I know less about what's going on than you probably do. But I can tell you one thing. I didn't sleep with Heidi." "Is that your secretary?" "Yes, she's my administrative assistant." "Susie says she has a statement from that secretary, and pictures to go along with it. I don't see how you're going to get around this case, Jake. Sometimes it's better to take your medicine and get it over with." "I agree with you, Dad, but I'm not going to admit to something I didn't do." "Are you saying these pictures are a lie? Is this secretary out to get you?" "Dad, I really don't know, but I can't believe for a minute that Heidi could be behind all of this. I wish I knew more, but I don't. All I know is that I didn't sleep with my secretary." There's a long silence. I can almost hear my father thinking it over. "Jake, did you cheat on Susie?" He asks me bluntly. "God is my witness, Dad. I never even thought about it. Sure, I've seen a few pretty young things and maybe flirted a little, but nothing even happened. Not with any of them." Another long silence ensues. Finally, he says, "Jake, I remember when you were about 14 years old, I caught you with a big fist. I kicked your ass then, and I'm not too old to come over there and kick your ass again. I don't think you're lying, but God help you if you are. Dad, I sighed in relief. I can't put into words how much what I just heard means to me. You're still on a fence, boy. Yeah, but it helps me to know that at least one person is on my side. I take it Mom isn't too happy about all this? Don't worry about your mother. She sided with Susie right away. Admittedly, so did I when she told us what she had on you. I know you're a big fan of corporate talk, but you're going to have to spin your head to get out of this situation. No, I'll talk to your mother. But when you get some things settled in there, don't forget to give us a call. Thanks, Dad. Now I hate to do this, but I need help. And I slowly started to make my way back to the Marriott. I get it. She told us she's going to empty the accounts because she thinks you're going to drain them of everything. How much do you need? She thought I'd empty the accounts, didn't she? And instead she decided to do it first? Did she tell you she canceled all of our credit cards? I shook my head, perplexed as to where the hell my wife had gone and what kind of alien had taken her place. Well, first of all, I need somewhere to sleep tonight. I won't have my card until tomorrow, so I'd like to go back to the hotel so you can talk to them and pay for the room. It's not that big of a problem. I can help with that. It's not over yet, Dad. I realized I wasn't going to get off that easy. It's going to take some money to find out what's going on. I'm thinking $10,000. Can you wire it to me? 10,000 fucking bucks. What the hell are you going to do? Hire all those fucking Texas Rangers? I hear a voice yelling in the background, and I flinch for my father. Now look what you've done. Now I've got your mom on my ass. She'll get over it, Dad. Can you wire the money? Of course I can, but do you really need that much? I don't know how much I'll need, but it should be enough. I'd say so. Daddy, I'm very grateful to you. Wait till you get my bill. One more thing, boy. Daddy, what? Go see Bud tomorrow, first thing. That's probably good advice. Did you expect otherwise? Offered Dad. I'm laughing. The first really good laugh I've had in days. Sunday, 9:29 p.m. As I start to undress to take a shower, my cell phone rings. As I picked up the phone, I glanced at the number, half expecting it to be Dad, letting me know how the money transfer was going. The appearance of Susie's number makes my heart race. Several beats to be exact, and for more than one reason. Susie, I'm a little surprised you called. Jake, this is not small talk, and I'm not going to get into a discussion with you right now. Just meet me in my office tomorrow at 9:30. How exactly am I supposed to do this? What if I can't meet that deadline? You can if you want to talk. Susie, I'll do my best to meet you at 9:30, but you know better than I do that I can't meet you at your... Shit. I stop when I hear the line cut off. Who the fuck does she think she is? Furious, I type the letters, "Tro, you fool," and press the button with my thumb to send her a message. I close my eyes and slowly count backwards from 10. Once I get to 0, I delete the last 2 words and just send her the first 3 letters. 15 minutes pass and the cell phone rings again. Forgot about the TRO? I ask her. Yes, but that doesn't change anything. We can still meet at my office. With my work schedule, I don't think I have time to meet anywhere else. I'm not meeting in your office, I reply simply, trying not to give away my emotions. Why not? It's near your office and practically the most convenient place to meet. You need to know why? I'm not putting myself in danger. That's why. I'm not going to violate the TRO. The TRO will only be a problem if I create it. Since I'm inviting you, I don't see what the problem is. Of course I do. You're the prosecutor. You have a court order against me that extends to your office. The police department building is right next door. 48 hours ago, you ambushed me in the most heinous manner. What guarantee can you give me that I won't fall into another trap like Friday? I think the second part further ignited your interest in the further events that will take place in the story. If you want to read the released chapters without censorship, I left a link to the Telegram channel in the description. To be continued.